Get ready for next month, this month. Get ready for next year, this year. Always be a day ahead, a step ahead, and a year ahead in your research, in your development, in researching your own feelings and life and what's going on. So that no matter what conversation comes up, no matter what chance to communicate arises, whether it's a business communication, a personal communication, or a social one, you'll be more ready for it a few months from now than you are now. This readiness comes from doing it deliberately and consciously. So that's number one, have something good to say. Here's the second step, say it well. Part of communication is saying it well, and there are some key points on saying it well. Having a good conversation means getting your point across and getting the job done. Saying it well is a matter of repetition, conscious repetition. Some people say it over and over but don't get any better at it. Conscious participation and repetition will help you say it better. My first seminars weren't that good, I'll admit that. But guess what? I did it again with the thought in mind of getting better. I practiced it some more, did it some more, went over it again and again. And sure enough, if you do something over and over consciously with the thought of getting better, you will improve. Anyone can get better with enough practice. People often wonder how I can do a 3.5-hour evening seminar without using any notes. Once in a while, someone asks, how can you do it for 3.5 hours without notes? The answer is simple. I've done it a few thousand times. If you do something a few thousand times consciously, you will get better and better. So, whatever you're doing now in the way of communication, ask yourself, how long do you want it to take to get good at it? If you want to get good right away, you have to do it over and over. Repetition helps you improve. The second step to good communication is saying it well. Here are some other points on saying it well. Say it with sincerity. There is no substitute for sincerity. Almost everyone wants to feel that you are being sincere, that you're not playing games, and that you're truly disclosing your feelings, awareness, and what's going on in your life, heart, soul, and mind. Sincerity is irreplaceable. Say it accurately. Lack of credibility can damage your communication. Be sincere and tell the truth. The truth is powerful enough without dressing it up with fiction. Say it with brevity. Don't linger too long on any one point. The human attention span is short. You need to move along. I used to tell long stories, stretching them so much that people forgot the beginning by the time I got to the end. Now I practice being brief. Be brief, brief, brief. Shorten your illustrations and stories. Practice with kids because their attention spans are really short. They won't hesitate to tell you if you're taking too long. Be concise and to the point. In our high-powered, speeded-up way of living, especially in this country, brevity is crucial. If you want to be effective in communication, you must be brief on any one point. I think I've lingered long enough on that point. Next, saying it well means saying it with style. Now, part of style is your personal style, which involves a lot of things. It can involve gestures and facial expressions. You talk with your eyes. You speak with your facial expressions as well as with your words. Some people talk more with their hands. That's part of your style, gestures, and all of that. Now here's the key. Develop your own style. However, be a student of style. First, have something good to say. Second, say it well. Consciously say it well. Practice saying it well. Get to where the words come more clearly, more freely. Things you used to stumble over when you talked a year ago, you just correct that. You correct it so that now it flows better. Shorten. The stories used to be long, now they're shorter. You just do all that consciously, so that you get better and better at it. Saying it well. Okay, here's the third step to good communication, and this is so important. Read the effect you're having when you communicate. See, that's just major. Study your audience, whoever your audience may be. If it's one of your children, just study what's happening to them. while you're talking, right? Look in their eyes, look at their face, analyze what's going on between you and whoever you're talking to. Whether it's a business conversation or a social conversation, you've got to be keenly aware of what's happening to whoever you're communicating with. Now, a real challenge is communicating with an audience. We had about 200 people the other night in Orange County, right? And I've got to make sure that everybody from down here in front to way in the back is engaged for the 3.5-hour period. Now that's a real challenge. I didn't used to be that good at it. In fact, when I first started lecturing, I was hardly aware of my audience. I was so absorbed in my notes and my material. Guess what? They could have all gotten up and left and I wouldn't have known it. I wouldn't have missed them. I'd have just kept right on talking because I was so absorbed in the material and trying to say it right and do it right that I was not aware of what was going on with my audience. But you got to read the effect you're having for really effective communication. Now, if it's just an informal communication situation, you can just ask the question, do you read me right? Does it make sense? Did I say it well? And you get this feedback. So you can actually start checking how you're doing with somebody. If it's informal, you can just ask. Now, what you've also got to learn to do is read some of the subtle things that are going on with whoever you're talking to. Especially humans, especially adults. You know, when we get a little older, we have these tricky ways of looking like we're interested when we're really not. And if you want to be a good communicator, you've got to pick up on those signals. Part of this you can pick up by what we call body language. Some people quickly disclose their feelings about whether or not you're effective or if it's coming across, and they relay that to you through body language. It's a kind of new study. I haven't studied that much about it, but there is a book called How to Read a Person, like a book by Nierenberg. You might make a little study on that. Now, don't get too involved in it, because sometimes you can get so caught up in watching someone's eyes, ears, and hair that you miss the bigger picture. But you can get some indication. Here's what will serve you well no matter what. Pure common sense. You just look at somebody, and you can kind of tell. If someone folds their arms and tucks their head down, you've probably got more selling to do. Maybe you should change the subject, or maybe you should quit. Just analyze what's going on. Some things are fairly obvious. You know, if a guy's leaning toward the door, it's probably a sign. Let the obvious be your best teacher. Whatever you do, don't ignore the obvious. Sometimes we say, oh, it couldn't be. Yes, it probably is. But adults especially can be a bit tricky. People smile, nod their heads, and seem courteous. But that doesn't mean they're interested. If you mistake courtesy for interest, you lose the hold on good communication. Develop a sense of picking up signals. I think women probably have an edge over men when it comes to this sixth sense of being able to tell what's going on. Women have this uncanny gift. Men can develop it, but women already have it. Their antenna is out, and they pick up signals nobody else can. Part of it is because, until the industrialized society, women were primarily the protectors. The man was the provider. He was out there getting the game or whatever. And the woman was the protector. So, women have developed these incredible sensitivities to danger and what's happening. Even the Bible says there are sheep, the shepherd, and the wolves. Some wolves are so clever, they've learned to dress up like sheep and talk like sheep. You've got to be clever. A man says, well, looks like a sheep, talks like a sheep. A woman says, ain't no sheep, take my word for it. That's a long-developed instinct. Right in the middle of the night, she says, wake up, something isn't right out there. He says, uh-huh. Right. I mean, he's gone, right? She says, no, something isn't right. She just has this uncanny sense. So that's part of, being able to read people, picking up signals. Mr. Schoaf called it signals. He says we all throw off signals, vibrations. I don't understand all I know about that. Have you heard the expression, a dog can tell whether or not you're afraid of him? I guess that's true. We throw off a certain kind of signal and animals, right? They just pick it up. They pick it up. They know. And you can't fake them out. You can say, I'm not afraid of you. The dog says, who? Are you kidding? Right? I mean, come on. Okay, being able to read, that's so important. Reading your audience. How are you doing? Should you speed up? Should you slow down? Should you change the subject? Should you be a little stronger? Just be more aware of whoever you're talking to. Look a little more intently at somebody. Try to pick up what's happening between you and the audience, or the person, or the child, or the business partner. You can't believe how it will affect your ability to communicate if you'll practice this part of picking up what's happening between you and someone else. Now, here's number 4, then we'll take our first break. The 4th step to good communication is intensity, strong feelings. Here's what changes the whole effectiveness of good communication. Strong feelings when you talk to people. To affect others with words, it's 20% what you know and 80% how you feel. Feelings and emotions change the whole outcome of communication. Intensity. Words loaded with emotion have the best effect. Words are like little straight pins. When you buy a shirt, it's got all these little pins in it. You start pulling them out. What if I threw one of those pins at you? You'd feel it if it hit you. Now, what if I wired that pin to the end of an iron bar and let you have it? I could drive that pin right through your heart. The pin is the words, and the iron bar is the emotions, the feelings, the awareness, the uniqueness of all that mysterious stuff that humans are made of. Learn to put more of yourself into what you say. More feelings, more awareness, more uniqueness, strength of character, conviction. Just be more aware of putting more of yourself into whatever you say. That's the iron bar that drives what you say to the heart and mind and gets the job done. Words loaded with emotion. Now, you must also learn to measure your emotions. You don't want a major outburst for a minor point. Learn to measure it. Some points need just a mild blend of emotions, while others need a strong one. But learn to measure that. Not too much for something minor. You don't want to shoot a cannon at a rabbit. It's effective, but you've got no more rabbit. So learn to measure your emotions. Now, where does emotion come from? Where do our feelings come from? They come from all of your experiences and how they have affected you. The blend of all of your experiences creates your emotional content and vitality. So be aware of your feelings and emotions. As your experience grows, when you get ready to talk, you'll have the blend of knowledge and feelings to put into your conversation. That's what creates the power. Now I have one more point, and we'll take our break. Don't forget to say it. Part of communication is being aware that things need to be said. It's easy to take for granted, especially with the people close to us, that they already know how we feel. But you have to keep expressing how you feel. Actions are no substitute for words. Talk without action is no good, but action without talk is also no good. Make sure the words accompany the action. Don't fail to say it. One of the biggest problems in married life is this breakdown in communication. Not clearing the air often enough, not keeping an open dialogue. Take nothing for granted. Explain it one more time. Just say it one more time. Don't take a chance that they know it. Bring up the subject again. Make sure it's clear. It's too easy to let it slide. How often do you have to tell the people you love that you love them? How often? Answer. Often. We all need reassurance. We all need it to be clear and pointed so that we know there are some things you just don't let go. Some actions will only say certain things. They won't say it all. You can give someone flowers, but flowers won't do all the talking. Flowers say, "You remembered." That's about it. Flowers don't say, "You do incredible things to me. Nobody affects me like you do." Flowers talk, but they won't say that. That's why you need a card with the flowers. Let the flowers say whatever they can, but don't fail to add the words, because the words are so important. Judy gave me this watch for my birthday in 1972. It was a neat watch, Le Coultre. If all goes wrong, I can cash the watch in and live for a while. Judy was always doing things like that. Fabulous watch. But better than the watch was what she wrote on the back. I appreciated the watch, but the words were better. On the back, she had inscribed, "My love for all time. Your Judy, September 1972. The watch was neat, but the words, she could have put the words on a Mickey Mouse watch. Pardon me, Walt, I didn't mean to downgrade your mouse, but the words were what was really important. So, let actions speak, but make sure the actions don't substitute for the words. Make sure you say it. And if you make sure you say it, you'll get better at it. You'll get the practice. You'll learn to put more feelings in it. You'll learn to say it well, say it better. This whole process of communication for you, if you don't treat any of it casually, will start to grow. And you will be startled in the next few weeks, the next few months, at what happens as a result of your future conversations if you become more aware of these things we have just talked about. Sensitivity, fascination, interest, working knowledge, having something good to say, saying it well, reading the effect you're having, and the intensity of strong feelings.